Welcome to episode 24 of the Die, Laugh, Love podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining me for attending this wonderful online spirit gallery. I do want to set the intention that it's my intent today to bring everyone here some perspective, some love, some clarity in their life, all that good stuff. I want you to walk away from an experience like this thinking differently about your life, so perhaps you can make the most of it before you pass away, because we're all going to pass away. And that's why I call it the Die, Laugh, Love podcast. Before we die, we should do our damnedest to laugh and love while we're here. I'm not sure if anybody here is on my personal Facebook page, but if you are, I kind of set a little tease out there today about what this event today was going to be like. Now, before we dive in, I want to talk about what to expect from our time together. This should last an hour to an hour and a half. This is an online spirit gallery. I am a medium, I am a psychic, I'm all sorts of things, a podcaster and an author. But when I do this in service to spirit, I do this in service to others, and I want to provide some sense of, again, perspective and healing. So I am going to channel spirit. I am going to describe who I have, and this is going to be an interactive event, meaning that if you are here, there is a good chance that you could very well be called upon and be asked to interact with me. Now, when it comes to that, we might have a couple of overlaps, meaning somebody and another person might think that the spirit that's coming forth is for them. And we're just going to have to figure it out as we go along. But I will say today has a theme, and the theme of today begins with an experience that I had yesterday. And this is an experience that I kind of teased on my personal Facebook. And I teased it like this. Yesterday was a first for me because I almost got pepper sprayed. I almost got pepper sprayed. So let me tell you exactly how that happened. So my husband and I have 1 day off a week. Now, that's not a complete day off because I woke up at 6 a.m. and did about 3 hours worth of work before we were to leave for Burlington, Vermont. Now, in Burlington, Vermont, there is a beach on Lake Champlain called North Beach. I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with North Beach on Lake Champlain. Beautiful beach. You can park, it's public parking. You can park, you can go down to the beach and enjoy. And we spent some time on the lake. Had a good lunch, had a good drive over. And we wrapped it up by going to visit the Earth Clock on Lake Champlain. So down the beach, got to drive a little ways. There is what's known as the Earth Clock, and it is a standing stone circle. It is a bunch of standing stones. It's like a mini Stonehenge, but it is an Earth Clock. Now, this is a stone circle that was blessed and built by a druid named Ivan. Ivan has since passed, but this is a very special place. You can feel the power of it. It's right on the lake. It's a really cool place. And I've talked about this before, but for those of you who are not familiar with this part of my spiritual practice, I am a big believer in making offerings. So as a medium, there are, the spirits of the dead carry on. I am what some folks would call an animist. I do believe in animism, meaning that everything is animated by a spirit. There are spirits of mountains, there are spirits of lakes, there are spirits of rivers and trees and plants and animals. It's a very, how do I say, perhaps Native American or tribal or paganistic way of viewing the world. So, as part of a little tribute, I brought some maple syrup out. And I use maple syrup as offerings. And I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the more Native American tradition of making offerings with tobacco, whether tobacco that is lit and on fire or perhaps tobacco that's just placed on the ground. I make offerings of quite a different things. When we were on North Beach, I poured some maple syrup into the lake to offer my gratitude, and just as a token of my affection, if you will. I burnt some incense sticks while we were there. I have an offering mix. I call it my offering mix of dried roses, lavender, and jasmine. And I brought some handfuls of that. I put it in the water. It just brings us into a deeper relation, I believe, with the world around us, with the spirits around us. So here I am at the earth clock. And when I get there, I walk around and I kiss each of the big stones and I pour a little maple syrup. I will also say that here comes the language warning. We're all adults, but I'm going to use some adult language as we get into the evening and as we go through this. Well, as I was walking around, this earth clock, this standing stone circle, is on the bike path. There's a long, about 8 mile long bike path in Burlington. So I walked down the bike path a little bit and I'm walking around, kissing the stones, pouring a little maple syrup, offering my gratitude. And a woman drives by on a bike and she goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you pouring maple syrup on those rocks?" That's literally what she said. And she just kept cruising on by, like, kept going on by. And I'm like, ha, 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 here we go. Out in the public, doing the weird stuff. I love it. What I wasn't paying attention to, that I should have been paying attention to, is that there was a man, a younger man, on a picnic table there, and he was speaking rather loudly and animatedly, and he had a phone out. And as I go around the circle, I start to hear the things that he's talking about. And he's using words like Illuminati, CIA, demons, Freemasons. I'm walking around the circle, but my husband Isaac is standing there and he's not too far away from him, and he could hear more of what he was talking about. This person was homeless. They did not have a home, and they were very much not well. They were not well. They were broadcasting live on their Instagram page to who knows how many people about rituals and witches and the Illuminati and the Freemasons. And I will come right out and say that perhaps I should have been a little bit more aware of my surroundings. And so I wrap up the circle. And he kind of comes over to me and he goes, "Here we have somebody right here doing a ritual. This guy is pouring maple syrup on these rocks." And he is quite offended, but he's also acting like a journalist in the same way, where he's wanting, "What are you doing?" And he's like talking to me, and he is not well. And perhaps I was, you know, a little in a defensive posture because of the woman who drove by on the bike and said, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you pouring maple syrup on those rocks?" So instead, and then here's a word, I'm going to use a word, and I don't know if it's an appropriate word, but I'm going to use this word. And I don't mean to offend anybody when I use this word, but this guy was crazy. Like, he was not well. He was crazy. And he was trapped in these stories and he was broadcasting live on Instagram. So I should have ignored the crazy person. That's a really good policy. And I did not. I decided to take a few steps and walk up to him. And he was not expecting that, because I was going to explain to him what I was doing. I'm making offerings to the land. This is what I use. I was going to do that. And I should not have done that, because he goes, "Whoa, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And he pulls pepper spray out of his pocket. And then I'm like, okay, so let's rethink the scenario. Here I am, a country bumpkin, and I understand that Burlington has gone through some drastic changes over the last few years. Burlington, used to be quite the hippie city. People are very, very, very leery of walking up and down Church Street, a shopping district. There's a lot of homelessness, vagrancy, and heroin, a lot of open drug use in the park there in Burlington. So Burlington has sadly taken a little bit of a downturn. So I see the pepper spray and I decide to disengage, I think is the best way to put it. I decided to disengage. So I backed up. He's rambling, and I put the maple syrup in the backpack, and Isaac and I decide to walk down the bike path and keep going. I just want everybody here to know that I'm somewhere on somebody's Instagram live video pouring maple syrup on these stones in Burlington. I just want everybody to get this image that there is a crazy person out there with me on his Instagram. But that brings me to tonight. And I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart: mental health and mental illness. And I think that this is something that we all need to talk about because people are not okay. Whether they have big mental illnesses or whether they have what I think could be termed a whole lot of microaggressions, I think that death by a thousand cuts might be an appropriate term here. I think that we're all struggling, some of us more so than others, and some of us handling these struggles better than others. But there's a lot going on in our world right now, and there's a lot of information that we can all have access to, whether it's social media or the internet or what have you. Now, the gentleman that was clearly unwell, using a cell phone, accessing the internet, and accessing social media, he was talking about things like the Freemasons and the Illuminati and child sacrifice and demons and all of that. And these were stories that he picked up along the way. And these were stories that he did not have the ability to interact with in a skillful way. He came to a place where he chose to believe these stories, and these stories compounded his already disintegrating mental health. I just want to bring up to everybody that we're all guilty of that. We're all able to be exposed to stories. We're all able to be exposed to news or conspiracy theories or rabbit holes. And the example that I've used quite often, and the example that I will continue to use probably until I'm not here in this world anymore, is this. I'd like everybody here on this call, anybody here that would listen to this in the future, I want you to put into your mind the part of your body that you dislike the most, whether it's your weight or your skin or your hair or what have you. Generally speaking, everybody has a part of themselves that they wake up every day and wish was different, that they dislike. And I want to remind everybody that none of us were born into the world disliking that part of ourselves, that we are exposed to advertisements and movies and magazine covers, and now social media influencers, reality TV shows that are anything but reality. And we're exposed to a lot of beauty standards that are either quite rare or outright unattainable, and we hold ourselves up against them. For people of a particular generation, you might remember Twiggy in the 1960s and Farrah Fawcett in the 1970s, and then Brooke Shields and Kim Basinger and Christy Brinkley in the 80s, and Cindy Crawford on the Sports Illustrated covers in the 1990s. And I bring this up for a reason, because my heart goes out to that crazy man on Lake Champlain, because he's not well. And underneath all those layers of him not being well is a soul that's tortured. And I think that a lot of us will experience self-hatred and self-loathing, not to the degree that this man has been bamboozled. He has been bamboozled by particular rabbit holes that he's fallen down. But we've all been bamboozled by the stuff that we've been exposed to. And we can suffer, whether it is believing in advertising, whether it is falling down political ideologies and rabbit holes that we're exposed to on social media, or perhaps it's religion. Because I have met a fair share of people who are terrified of evil spirits that they've been pounded over the head with because they grew up in a church that said, you better follow what I say or the evil spirits are going to get you. not seeing the manipulation or the tactics that are beaten over their head with. And I often have to say, if nobody told you about those evil spirits, would you be worried about them? And I think that's something that we all need to consider, because there are people in this world growing up in cultures and in places that are not exposed to magazine covers or social media or Hollywood movies. They're not in a place of suffering because they think that they're an abomination or that their body is disgusting. So I want everybody here to consider the stories that they're given, whether it's from parents or advertising or religion. And I want you to sit with how those stories and those influences might affect your mental health and your mental well being. Because you might not be a crazy man standing in Lake Champlain, but you very well could be caught up in your own delusions and in your own stories right now, thinking that you're not a good parent, thinking that you're not a good partner, all sorts of different things that you could be thinking that are anything but reality. Anything but reality. And knowing that that's what we were going to talk about today, I think that perhaps part of the universe or part of my spirits led me to that stone circle at the end of the day so I could have that interaction. Because the other interesting thing that happened to me today is I usually give my readings on a weekend, but I had a gentleman today in my studio space who has a learning disability. I was reached out to by somebody last week and said, "Hey, could you fit this guy in? I can only bring him over during the week." And this person, I want to tell you a little bit about him. When he came in to pay for his session last week, and when I set it up as soon as possible, one of the reasons why I did is because when he walked into my studio space, I could feel a grandmother spirit around him just wailing. So so sad for what this man has gone through. Now, that was peculiar for me because when I sat with him, he was very upbeat and he was very happy go lucky. And his learning disabilities weren't significant, but he did need help in his life. But I had to sit with him and I had to say, you got this grandmother. And I described her. And he's like, well, I don't know who that is because he was adopted. He didn't know his birth parents. So he had, and this woman that was with him was so sad about what his mother had done to him. Well, come to find out that all he knew about his birth parents were that they were drug addicts. And what I could say and what I could tell is that perhaps this man had learning disabilities because of what his mother did while she was pregnant. So he had this grandmother spirit that was around him, feeling very sad and sorrowful for what her daughter did while she had this child. Now, he was great. He was in a very happy place. He was very happy go lucky. And I had to praise him because he had all of these stories of being adopted, being neglected and betrayed. He could have used those stories to turn them into excuses or justification for being shitty to himself or being shitty to other people. And he didn't. He used those stories in a way of being somebody who would move mountains for the people he loved. Like, this man was full of so much love for his friends, for anybody that he could call family. And it was amazing to sit with somebody that most people wouldn't look twice at because of an apparent learning disability. And I had to acknowledge that because he took those stories and he turned them into something better. So, with that being said, I want to I want to single out anybody here who takes the stories of the unfortunate things that happened to them and use them to become a brighter, better, bolder person who contributes to the well-being of Earth and the loved ones around them. And this is where we get into our spirit readings. So, I want to talk to you about man. And I'm going to try to pay attention to the screen because you're going to have to unmute yourself. You're going to have to wave your hands. Um, I have to wonder if this. I have to wonder if this man died of COVID. I have to wonder. He might have died of COVID. He might have died of pneumonia or the flu. But here's something about this man. I'm feeling an incredible amount of chest congestion. I'm feeling like an older person, uh, a grump, like a grump. Um, didn't want to get sick. Of course, nobody wants to get sick. Didn't want to die, but didn't want to listen to anything. I don't believe this person got vaccinated for anything, whether it was the flu or COVID. I don't believe this person took care of himself. He's indicating to me that he was stuck in his own miserable stories. So I want to ask anybody here have a father, grandfather, somebody who died of congestion? This could be a husband or a brother, somebody like this. This is a grumpy old man. I'm having a hard time breathing. Like I want to clear my throat. I want to clear my chest. This is a curmudgeon. So wave your hands if it's you. If your video is off, put your video on, unmute yourself. I'm getting the sense that he has daughters. Hold on. So Carol Jean, you just waved your hand. You just went like that. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna unmute you and I'm gonna ask you if this is your person.
I think it might be, but my father died of emphysema.
Oh, okay. Emphysema,
And yeah.
like a chest
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Was it smoking related?
Yes, he smoked. He was also a heavy alcoholic.
Okay.
Um, it might not be him because it was something that had been ongoing for many years. Not,
Okay, hold on. Just hold on 1 second, okay? Because this might be for you. Can I ask you, do you have sisters?
no, only a
Okay.
brother.
Only a brother, because I get the sense of daughters, like plural.
Okay,
Okay.
then it's not my
But hold
father.
on 1 second, because we might lean into this, okay? Can I ask you, was this a curmudgeon? Do you know what the
He
word
left,
curmudgeon is?
yes, he left when I was 5. And I don't know, honestly. I think
Okay,
he probably,
so you didn't
yeah.
I so one of the ways that this person's describing himself to me is that, again, here's a language warning. There's a song from the 90s, Rage Against the Machine, and this is what they'll use. They'll use what's in my head. This is very much a person who would say, fuck you, I'm not doing what you tell me. Like, this is very much somebody who would dig their heels in and not care. So, Brandy, okay, hold on. Laura, give me a moment. Laura, I'm going to unmute Laura. Brandy and Carol Jean, I'm going to mute you. Laura, I'm going to unmute you because I'm really getting pulled to you. Okay. So, Laura, tell me, do you have anybody that's like this?
Yes, my dad.
What did he have for chest stuff?
It was his lungs. It was all like he couldn't breathe. He was on oxygen.
Okay. Do you have sisters?
Yep.
Okay. Could this have been prevented? Because this is what I'm getting. This is a thing that could have been prevented.
Um, I don't know. They were leaning towards like Agent Orange and all that.
Really? He didn't smoke. He didn't catch pneumonia. He
Yes,
didn't catch the
yep. He
flu.
smoked.
He smoked. Okay, okay, okay. Could I could I ask you? Because this is an interesting thing. He's just saying like somebody would tell me to do a thing and I would turn my back right on him and not do the thing. Like somebody would encourage me to be well. I would not do it because I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. There's a point to
My mother
the
kind of
spirit
made
coming
him do
through.
it.
Say it again for me.
My mom would make him do it. Even if he didn't want to, my mom would make him to be well.
Okay. So did he have he obviously didn't want to. Do you know what I mean? There's something very obstinate about this person. Whether your mother was a force of nature that was strong enough to contain this guy is another story. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure this is for you, Laura. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what that means is I'm gonna bring up on Spotlight. You and I are gonna be side by side on this so we can talk through this. Because he has some particular messages for you and the rest of humanity, because that's why they get put through me. Because remember, as I walk into this experience tonight, it's all a theme. I have people who are caught in their own bullshit stories, and that's what they want to come through and talk about. So, Laura, I'm going to bring you up on Spotlight, then I'm going to spotlight me, and then we're going to share this um, side by side. Here we go. Okay. So, Laura, wow. Okay. This is funny because I want to say that this man didn't want to talk about how much pain he was in. I think he was in a lot more pain than he would relay. I think this is a tough old bastard. Do you know what I mean? Just like a
Yes.
tough old bastard wouldn't want to
Absolutely.
talk about how much pain he was in. Okay.
Absolutely.
Um, what I'm hearing in my head, and I have to relay this to you, and this is really important. I'm sorry I didn't give you the ability to believe in yourself. I'm sorry I didn't give you the ability to believe in yourself. So there's stuff that this man wants to apologize for. Okay. But here's the important thing, knowing that I dealt with a crazy person yesterday and kind of having to come in and talk about how we're all crazy. You know what I mean? Like when I was talking about,
Yeah.
you know, dislike of body, all of that stuff, we were never born with that. That's something that you could very much relate to, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of it. Like almost everybody can relate to that. And that way, we're all a little crazy. It was just a different story and a different depth of belief. Okay. It's interesting. He didn't give you the ability to believe in yourself, but he is taking credit for turning you into a survivor. He is giving you
Yes.
credit for turning you into a survivor. And this is interesting because he uses the word survivor. I want to say there's something in your rear view, Laura, of being a new version of yourself. Like how do I say this? I don't know if you're like I don't know if you're divorced. I don't know what you have in like a second chapter. I don't know what you've survived, but he's not calling you a survivor because you successfully went to the grocery store. He's calling you a survivor because you've survived something. Okay.
Yep.
Now, what else is fascinating to me is like, you know how we can all get caught up in these stories, okay? Like these stories. Um, what happens when we get caught up in the story where we believe in ourselves, where we believe in the life that we want to build, where we believe in surviving? I think that we create our life based on the stories we tell ourselves. Do we have faith in ourselves? I do believe, and this is his words, not mine, Laura. Like, I don't know you, but I have to tell you what he's saying. You're one badass bitch. This is what he's saying. Do you know
I needed
this?
that.
Like a survivor and a fighter and like the man that I sat with today, who I kept telling him, your spirits are so proud of you because you'd move mountains for the people that you love. You would move mountains for the people that you love. I hope you
Yes,
know that about yourself. Okay. Now
I
here's
do.
a funny thing. Here's a funny thing. I have a tendency because I want to, I'm a person that believes in service and I want to like pass these messages on. I want to pass these messages on. So I kind of take up a lot of the vocal space here. And I'm not a great conversationalist in that way because I just want to like talk and give the message and relay the message and heal and do all that stuff. But here's a funny thing. This man is asking me to pause and he wants me to have you tell everybody here why you can pound your chest and why you can be proud of what you've survived. What are you proud of and what are your accomplishments? He wants you to share. He wants you to say those words out loud.
Well, my biggest accomplishment I feel is raising my son. I beat anxiety. I was raped when I was 18. I just had it tough.
And those are accomplishments that you believe in, right? Like that define you and that you know yourself to be a survivor, right?
Yes.
Can I ask? No, 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 no. He's kind of like he's What's work related or business related, work related,
Oh,
business related.
oh, I'm the boss now. I made it. I'm the boss. I run a kitchen and I run an activities department. I run it now.
That's an accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like he's proud of that. He's proud of
Oh,
that.
good. 'Cause my anxiety
And
used to be so bad that I couldn't even leave the house.
so, how about this? Okay, so you're somebody who had anxiety. We can call that a mental illness, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's not ideal mental health. This is an interesting thing to, to sit with because I talk to a lot of people who have anxiety and I will kind of put it back on them and say, hey, do you have anxiety or do you have a mind that's not trained to deal with everything the world's throwing at us? There's a difference, right? And so you are somebody that you said those words, I beat anxiety. I'm going to give it to you in a different way. I think you're somebody who learned to tell herself a different story. You get that?
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Like
mean,
none. I don't think much in your life changed. I think the way you related to it changed.
yep,
You know what I mean? You still got to go
absolutely.
out of the house, still got to go to the grocery store, still got to go to work, still have kids, still have all those things that would cause you to have anxiety, but you beat it by telling yourself a different story.
Yes.
So, okay. Do you see the theme that's happening here, Laura? You see the theme that's going on. Okay, 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 okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. I want to tell you what this man just said to me, and this is a funny thing. He points to me in my head of the man that was on Lake Champlain last night. Okay. And then he's pointing at that man. Then he points at your mother and he goes, well, at least he didn't end up like your mother. This is what he just said to me. Was your mom like a little crazy too?
No, she's different than I'm like my dad, and my mom's real quiet, like real passive. Like
Okay.
she, yeah. I don't know.
So let me lean into that. Okay. How much of her passiveness could be the result of the stories she was taught? Where he just said, I'm happy that you're not like your mother. Another word for passive is doormat. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
yes,
to get
yes, yeah.
walked
Oh,
all over,
yes,
to be taken
absolutely.
advantage of.
Yes, yes.
What kind of stories does a person tell themselves, or what kind of stories does a person come to believe that turns them into the permanent servant or the doormat, or too passive?
Yeah.
So do you see why I said like you're not a passive person, you're an assertive person.
No.
So
No.
okay, so in that way, you're not believing that story that I have to be this passive woman, that I have to like be a wallflower. You're not believing that story. So you're decreasing the amount of pain and suffering in your life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what this man needs to tell you. I wish I could relay the amount of energy that I'm feeling. He is so incredibly proud of you. He is so incredibly proud of you. He did not have the opportunity to tell this to you while he was alive. I don't think he had the faculties. I don't think he had the tools to tell you this. But here's an interesting thing. You're just like the person that I sat with today in the way that these stories have happened to you, but you haven't turned these stories into an excuse to be shitty to other people, to hurt yourself, to keep yourself low or down. You turn them into something that motivated you to be a better, bolder, brighter person. And that's, I think, one of
Yep.
the most beautiful parts of this whole universe that we all share together is the perseverance of the human spirit in the face of adversity. The perseverance of the human
Yeah.
spirit in the face of adversity. Okay, so you've had adversity, you have persevered in the face of it. That's beauty. That's beauty. So you have to know that. And anybody else here who could relate to persevering in the face of adversity, that is the most beautiful part, I think, of being human. So, the other thing that I want to give to you is this. He's not giving me details. Oh, hold on. If you have a shoulder injury, you should get it looked at or taken care of. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a bum shoulder, like something wrong in a shoulder?
It's just at night, it's hard to sleep. Like I can't sleep on this one side. It hurts all the time. And
Well,
it's the
maybe you should get
shoulder.
it
Yeah.
taken care of. Yeah, maybe you should get it taken
Okay.
care of. Okay. Or looked at, or do something, get a different mattress. I don't know what you need to do, but get it taken before it becomes something worse. But here's the other thing that he wants to offer you up. He's sorry.
Oh,
He's sorry. We need to know that. I don't know what. He won't give me what it's for. You're supposed to know what that's for.
yeah, I've been talking to him a lot lately. Actually screaming at him.
I want to tell you, and this is about like what I do here. It's not just about bringing you peace, it's about bringing them peace. And when I have the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to deliver this apology to you for him, that should, I'm not in control of how you receive that. Hopefully that brings you a little bit of peace, but being able to offer that apology brings him a great deal of peace.
Good. Good.
Okay. All right. Also, it's weird. I think you get hangry because he's talking to me about don't be stingy with the sugar. Like, I think you need to
I
feed
am.
yourself more.
I do. I'm supposed to. Yes.
Like, he's
Yes.
telling
That's
you
the
to get more
problem.
sugar.
My sugar dropped real low today.
So that should show you he's around you. He wants you to have more sugar. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you walk through life and you get wrapped up in some bullshit about low sugar, low carbs, not good for me. Oh my God, I'm going to get fat, blah, 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 blah. And then you faint because your sugar's low. What good is that story going to do your ass? You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
here he is. Oh my gosh, this guy. Okay. Take care of his daughter. Take care of you. Take care of his daughter. Okay. If it's not something like he keeps showing me a Hershey's bar, like a Hershey's bar, like milk chocolate Hershey's bar. He keeps showing that to me. If you can't have that, have a banana, have some sugar. Don't let your sugar get like that.
Okay. That's
Okay.
funny.
The last thing, I don't know. I think this is the last thing. He's showing me you in like a concert t-shirt. That's the symbol. I think you need some live music, Laura. I think you need to go see a live show. Go
Yeah,
see some live music.
I definitely will. I need something for sure.
Yeah, well, music is great. Live concerts are almost like a ritual in and of themselves. It's a place where we can enjoy and forget and get caught up in that energy, all of that. So I want you to consider going and make sure in your mind that you're reliving the good times and don't get caught up on chewing over the bad times because it wasn't all bad. There were some good times. So chew on those. Don't get caught up in the bad time because it's something about, and I can see why you got anxiety because it's like your mind will hyper focus and then it'll grab something like a dog on a bone and it just won't let go. Like your mind is very like it's like your mind is a steel trap, I guess is the best way to put it. So, all
Mhm.
right. Here's the weird thing. Okay. I'm gonna take you off spotlight and I'm gonna mute you and I'm gonna bring everybody else up. Okay. Um, oh man. Okay. I I'm having trouble transitioning to the next one because there's part of me that almost thinks this person is for you, but we're just gonna put it aside and I'm gonna open it up to the group to see. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take you off spotlight. I'm gonna mute you and I'm gonna bring everybody up again so other people have a chance to like take this spirit. Okay. Okay. So I have somebody here that was an ex, was a partner, and this is another man, and he is saying that he absolutely hated you. Like he's talking about like absolutely hating you. This is an ex. This is somebody who um he's referring to himself as being chauvinistic. Think men are great, women are lesser than, women are he's telling me that women he thought while he was alive, women were less than human. Women were subhuman. They were just to be treated like possessions. This was not a good dude while he was alive. He's telling me that he hated you. Now, what I think is that there might have been like custody issues, children issues, things like that. But this man is talking about, like, I hated you. Like, he's consumed with fury. Anybody here lose an ex? Hatred. Like, I'm feeling hatred. Not that he doesn't hate you now. He's talking about like hating when he was alive. I'm seeing a symbol, and this is a symbol. Remember, it doesn't necessarily mean this is how he did it, but I think he contributed to his own passing. And the reason why I say that is because I see what looks like the classic, like, gun to the head, kind of like suicide image. I think that if he did not outright kill himself, he really caused it. Be mindful though, because this might not be your ex. This might be like your sister's ex. This is somebody who despise like he's telling me he despised women. Somebody is connected to a person like this here. He despised women. So again, raise your hand, wave your hand if this is somebody that needs to come forth and be connected to, because he was not a good person while he was alive. Telling me children were in the story, something to do with kids. I think you might have somebody took his kids away or something. So Kath said, really not sure. My brother-in-law never indicated he didn't like me. So Kathy, did he not like your sister? Like, I'm talking seething hatred. So I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself because this guy needs to come through. Like, I
He treated her badly.
he hated her badly,
No, treated her badly.
treated her badly. Okay. Was there divorce? Was there custody? Were there kids things? Okay.
Two kids, divorce.
Do you know of could you what you remember of him, would he have been that typical like chauvinistic, I think women are lesser than?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Did he contribute to his own passing?
Committed suicide.
Okay. So do you see how, like, here's this message. Now, Kathy, I know that your sisters have either been on these calls before or um here's what I need you to do. You're the proxy, and here's the interesting thing. So one, I'm gonna take it that you love those nieces and nephews of yours, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. So there's love here. Okay. You love your sisters, that goes without saying. Okay. So
Yep.
this is one of those things that when this episode is produced and available for rewatching, that you take this episode and you bring this to them to show this, okay?
Yep.
Because here's why this person's coming through, right? And I'm just got to get it out there. He's talking about being imprinted and implanted with these stories. So this is somebody who would have been taught to be this way. Like his father, other people would have shown him Again, you can't validate this, but there's a theme to what we're talking about here. Remember how I was talking about the man on Lake Champlain, how he was a soul that was suffering underneath all of the mental illness? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very difficult for, I think, a lot of people to hear, but the abusers, the assholes of the world, there is a divine, loving soul underneath all of that that is suffering because they're in that place where they've been trained, where they've been taught, where they have been hurt, where they have been taught to hurt others. So this man obviously was caught up in a story where he took his own life, where he abused people, where he caused them to have, suffering and pain. And he just keeps talking to me about, I treated women like they were objects. No, he says animals, like women. For him, women were like livestock. You know how like a horse will pull a carriage,
Mhm.
like it just serves a purpose. Do you know what I mean? There was no ability for him to see a soul or a person in a woman. So this man, and watch what we're doing here, Kathy. This is super important. As I am able to bring this man's message through that he's sorry, that he's hurt, he still hurts in the world of spirit. And here's why: because for some reason, this family must hurt from his actions, not only what he did when he took his own life, but what caused, like, what sort of person he was along the way. So this is really important for people to hear, because this is one of these big parts of my, this is why spirit works through me, because I have to bring this to people. If people were abusive or hurt or like others, and they don't get any like justice in this world, well, when they die, they will. When we die, we go through that life review and we look at what we did. And then we stand and we bear witness to the effects that those actions caused and how they ripple out in time. So this person, this brother-in-law of yours, Kathy, is a person who is hurting in spirit because of what those stories and those mental illnesses caused him to do. Because when he dies, he goes through like what I call the washing machine. So he sees it all from a different perspective. He learns from it. He sees it all. And then he like, the word that's appropriate for that process is distilled. He's distilled down to his eternal soul. That eternal soul is now in pain because he's watching what happened and he's seeing his loved ones in this world hurt. So if in the same way that Laura's father brought it through an apology, and if she could find peace from it, it's important, I think. And like, this is one of these lessons in grace. Like we don't have to, but we should try to find grace for the people that did the best they could with what they had. Because one, we don't we don't know what that person's childhood was like. We don't know what his parents did to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, this person could have been very, very hurt, programmed and traumatized by pain, and just became one of those people that weren't able to turn it into something better, that he turned it into something that he turned it into an excuse to hurt others, not a reason not to. You know that expression, hurt people hurt people?
Right.
Well, not all hurt people hurt people. Some hurt people do whatever they can to not hurt others. So, do you get the impression that this person is proud of his kids, that they've made something of themselves? Do you know if those kids made something of themselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both
Okay.
both the kids are doing well. The daughter still, I think, has a hard time with her dad's being gone.
Yeah. This is one of those things where if she can receive it, you send this message to her. Do you know what I mean? Send this video to her, because
Oh well.
this person's carrying pain. Like, this is why.
No.
What's that?
Somebody else
Okay.
talking.
Well, this is why they tell people not to commit suicide, because you'll go to hell. We don't go to hell. We don't go to a lake of fire. We just go to a place where we watch others suffer from our actions. So if his daughter's hurting, okay, all right. Um, I'm getting a message around that. Something about thank you for always remembering my birthday. I have to remember if that daughter always remembers him on his birthday.
She does.
She does. Okay. So thank you for remembering me on my birthday. Okay. It's a huge, like, okay. Um, was one of those kids a son?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you know this, Kathy, but does he have a temper?
I, gosh, I would say no, but I mean, his.
Okay, well, I'm going to pass this message through to you, and what he's saying to the son is take it down a notch. I don't know what that means. That could mean that he works too much and he needs to take it down a
Probably.
notch. I don't know what that means, but like take it down a notch. Okay? I'm getting a level of intensity, like things are too intense. Things are too intense. So
He
take it
does
down
work
a
a lot.
notch. He does. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got to take that down a notch. Um Burnout, whatever, all of that stuff that comes from working too much. Okay. Um Okay, so here's the thing, Kathy. I don't know if you remember this, but I'm going to say this to you. Do you remember after his passing, cursing out the son of a bitch?
Mm-hmm.
Did you curse him out?
Um, probably. Probably
No,
for
no, no,
doing.
no. Like, no, 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 no. Like he's saying that you did and that he deserved it, but he would have been
Oh,
around to hear it.
no. I know I was pissed off when he did it
Yeah, 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 yeah,
because
yeah.
of what he left for the unknown
Well,
for the
I
kids.
don't, I don't think that this was one of these things that you curse him out in front of the kids. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? But no, 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 it's not that. But I think that you like cursed him out. You son of a bitch. How could you do this? Yada, 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 all of that stuff. You did that, not necessarily in front of other people, but you did
right,
it and he deserved it
right.
because he's in full agreement with you. So this is somebody who has, through the process of death and through the process of those life reviews, have come up. Um, and it's a different. He's not the man he was. He's the soul that was once the man.
Hmm.
So now that soul is watching his loved ones hurt and be in pain. And that is just what happens when our loved ones suffer. So don't we. You've got to also know, and it's funny because now I'm smelling cigarette smoke. Did he smoke?
I don't think he smoked cigarettes.
Oh, he smoked something else?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Not that I ever saw him, but it was talked about.
Okay. I have to wonder what smell he's giving his loved ones. Okay, like there's a smell. I think his loved ones are smelling something of him. Like he's giving them
I'll have to
signs.
ask. I'll have to
You
ask.
should, yeah. And again, this pass this through to them when it goes live. Okay. All right. Um, this
I
is an
know for
interesting
me, it's
thing.
like with my mom, it's mothballs.
Okay, 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 yep.
But
So that again, that's what they'll do. Huh. Thank you for being here and thank you for being the person that can relay these messages. You know what I mean? Because if you didn't attend this, you wouldn't be able to bring that message to other people. You know what I
mhm,
mean? You wouldn't be the conduit. I'd be talking into the ether. I would be talking into the ether. So the point of this and the point of this connection and the point of tonight's gallery is that the people that once hurt us, ultimately, when we could look at it from the 1,000-foot view, were people that were stuck in their own stories, people that were doing it for reasons that we couldn't understand, but they were their motivations. And when we come to a place of understanding, not even necessarily forgiveness, but of understanding, or if we can be the person, like the gentleman I sat with today, who turned into somebody that was taking care of himself instead of somebody who was hurting himself. If we can turn into somebody like Laura and not let these stories be the motivation or the source of our own self-destruction or self-loathing, then we minimize the pain that they go through.
mhm.
Okay. Also, please make your apple pie. What is that?
Oh my gosh, Josh, when I first came and saw you probably 3 years ago, we talked about my dad, and you told me to light a candle. You told me to make him an apple pie, take it to his grave, and leave him in peace and have a conversation with him, which I did.
You? You
What?
did?
I did.
You
I
have?
did. I did
Okay.
my homework.
When's the last time you've done that?
Taking a piece of pie to him that day.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's probably been three and a half years,
It was 3 years ago?
probably.
Okay. Do you think he's hungry for another piece of apple pie? Probably.
Probably. There's been a lot of conversations around him um, in the last month or so.
Okay. So if you're talking about him, you're bringing them close, and they never go away. They're with us. So if you're
And
talking
that and
about him, you're
that
talking to them.
for him coming is like the smell of smoke or the pressure on my shoulder.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. So I might have been transitioning when I was starting to smell cigarette smoke. You know what I
Maybe,
mean? There we
maybe.
go. I don't know. But like that whole make your apple pie, make your apple pie. So when I go to that stone circle and I make offerings,
Mhm.
I don't do that once and call it good. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I go at least once a year, if not more. You know, anytime I'm over there, make offerings. So, I have thing. So for instance, I every morning I don't drink coffee. Every morning I make a cup of coffee with maple syrup for my ancestors, but it's an
Right.
every morning thing. It's not like I did it once and I stopped. It's that devotional act. It's that connection. It strengthens our connection to them. I can't explain in the realm of quantum physics or whatever the hell it is why they take sustenance and delight from it. They do. This is just
I
a
usually
thousands-year-old tradition.
I usually go to the cemetery Father's Day and usually Memorial Day because he was in the service. Um, and then once or twice during the summer, but you can't get there. And well, you probably could in the winter, but it's a ways in to get there. But I didn't think I was supposed to take an apple pie or a piece of apple pie every time I went.
I would, and probably some, you leave it there and probably some fox or raccoon or groundhog's going to come along and just gobble it right up. But that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just, I guess when we talk about leaving offerings, the one thing that we're never supposed to leave is stuff that won't decompose, and we don't leave chocolate
How come we don't leave chocolate?
because some animals can eat chocolate and get poisoned by it.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of that. Okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You don't leave chocolate out in the wild for a coy dog to find and get sick. You know what I mean?
Oh, I might get
Okay.
sick with my apple pie.
Well, maybe the apple pie is not for you. Maybe
That's
the
true.
apple pie is for somebody else. But make the apple pie and bring it to them, okay? All
Okay.
right. But more importantly, interestingly enough, when you bring these messages to your sister, your niece and nephew, when you bring this video to them, you share this with them, that's weirdly an offering to the spirit that hurt them.
Okay.
You see that? Like that
Mm-hmm.
helps them. Again, this is about helping them as much as it is about helping us. Okay. So my love to you. I'm going to bring forth the next one.
Thanks, Josh.
Here we go. You're welcome, Kathy. Thank you for being here. Okay, here we go. All right. Hmm. So, the last ones were pretty heavy. This one, she's shifting. She is coming forth and she's shifting. Um, and I like her energy. And so this is about being caught in stories, right? This is about I want to tell you how the first symbol that she showed me and as she came to me, dice. Like I don't know why it's three dice. I don't know what we do with three dice. I don't know why it's three. Maybe there were three of them that played games or dice. There's dice. And then Like now I'm hearing blackjack there. I don't know. Those are all symbols for gambling and card playing. And then I'm seeing stained glass, like stained glass windows or just stained glass decorations. I'm seeing stained glass. And then this woman, like as she brings those symbols to me, this woman, I feel like she is like, holy crap, I want to know how this woman became who she was. So she is um the best word I can use to describe her is embodied. This woman is embodied. Like she's showing me, I think she was heavier. I think she had like she was she might have been well endowed in the breast area, like a heavier woman, but I just feel like she would have been not caught up in like feeling like she was fat. She would have been embodied. And what I mean by that is I think that she would have liked her body. She would have like ate well and loved well. And she might have gambled a little bit, but there's also that like stained glass energy. And she keeps showing me this like this move. Um, and again, I don't have women's breasts, so I can't do this fully, but she keeps showing me this move of like boom, 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 like boom, 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 boom. She's very loving and she's very embodied. She's very, very embodied. She loves her body. She loved a good time. She's talking about being at peace. She's at peace. I think our people are at peace. She is somebody who liked to eat and like drink. I can't say eat, drink, and be. I have to say eat, drink, and be merry. I don't know if she drank, but this woman is like somebody who didn't get caught in stories, and she was like the light of the room, the light of the life. So, did anybody here have somebody that was like that? Randy, what's going on?
That sounds a lot like my friend Becky.
Okay,
She was a music teacher, so she was always singing, and she was a rather large lady who loves to eat and drink, and she did mosaics with stained glass. And she was
she did.
always,
Okay,
yeah, she always wanted to play, no matter if it was a card game, a board game. She never gambled, but she always wanted to play and
like
enjoy life.
dice, like game.
Hmm.
Yeah, game, game,
Yeah,
game. Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. Can I ask you,
Yahtzee
do
was
you
a
know?
favorite.
All right. What was it? Yahtzee was a
Yahtzee.
favorite?
Hmm.
Okay. So the dice and the stained glass, and then the like larger lady who's like boom, 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 right? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? And I don't know if you know this about, like eat and drink and all of that. Can I ask you, did she love well?
She
Do you know if she had a
loved.
time in her, no, 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 like I'm talking like sexual love. Like I'm talking
Um,
like sensuous love. I'm talking like a woman who liked her body kind of love.
no,
You didn't know her forever, did you?
no, no, I
Okay.
didn't.
There is a chance that along the
Absolutely.
way, this woman would have like satiated all the pleasures.
It's
You
quite
know what I
possible.
mean?
She wasn't,
Okay.
she grew up in the 70s, so who knows?
Oh, well, there you go. All right, right. Isn't that the free love era?
Yeah.
Right? That's like like she's just showing me like the boom, 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 boom. Okay. Um, so she like her message is she's at peace. She's at peace. Now, Brandy, I've connected with you and Becky before. I have.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like these things I did not know about her. I knew she was a music teacher. We had an episode where like you shared her playlist, all of that. Now,
Yes.
before I keep going, I want to touch base with anybody else here who can
Right.
identify. I mean, dice, stained glass, all of those other things that she's showing me. There's a reason why she's showing me these things. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what's important here is I have to relay this. I open this up to everybody. I open this up to anybody. I don't charge a thing for this.
Right.
I do not have control over who comes through. And I know that when I do these episodes, they have this theme. Okay. So, this theme of not getting trapped in our stories so we can live fully. Now, I do know that Becky is the person who died of cancer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she died of cancer. But before we could connect to that, to you, I think the message was she's at peace. You know what I mean? She's at peace. Now, I also want to bring this up for you because remember how I was talking about that brother in law who was suffering because his loved ones were suffering? Okay.
Mhm.
Brandy, you have a history of suffering around Becky's passing. I'm just going to say it. We talked about this the last time. Okay. If she's coming through and saying she's at peace, what that is to me is that you're at peace, or you're far more at peace than you used to be with it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. So the reason why we're talking about this is because everybody here has people in the world of spirit they want to rest in peace.
Yep.
They do. But the one thing that nobody gets, maybe some people are starting to get it now and I keep running my mouth about it, is if we want the people that we love in spirit to rest in peace, we have to live in peace.
Yes.
And that's one of those things that I keep saying over and over and over again. You know, I met this woman and she was telling me, like I did a tarot reading for her, and the thing that bothered her was joy. Like the card, like the Four of Wands came up in the position of this is what bothers you. This is your monster in your life is joy. And I'm like, how could joy be your problem? And she says to me, I feel guilty feeling joy because there's so many people in the world who are suffering. When I feel joy, I feel guilty. And I'm like, you need to pull your head out of your ass.
Yeah.
Because
I can
your
relate
loved
to
ones,
that feeling. I was kind of in that place over the winter right after Becky passed. But
so
I've
you've
done a
brought
lot
her
of work
peace
to
by finding,
yeah.
yes, you've brought her peace by finding your peace. And that's important. And I think a lot of people need to hear that when we are here on vacation, before we go home to where they're at, we need to enjoy everything. We need to enjoy everything. So I want to bring that through real quick. This feels like she's going to be fleeting. This feels like a representation of like, and I've got to wonder, and I wish that I could. I can't. It's over across the room. I have an ancestor altar here in my studio, and I have my mom's mother and her husband, my great grandparents, in a picture on my ancestor altar. And this woman, Myrtle, like my grandfather, I'm looking at him right now, or my great grandfather, Henry. When I look at him, this guy has got like the chiseled cheekbones. He's a very handsome dude, like a model handsome. And Myrtle, his wife, right next to him, is this heavy set woman. She's heavy. I mean, by today's standards, they would call her obese. And the love that these two people had, like this woman, Myrtle, my great grandmother, she was healthy. And I get the sense that Becky was like a woman like that who wasn't caught up in these stories of like, oh my God, I'm fat. Oh my God, they think I'm gross. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Becky is this person that's coming through right now to show people to enjoy, in balance our bodies and our life and like the miracles of this realm, the music, the food, the dance. There's so many good things about being here. Now, when it comes to that, one of the things that we have to do, remember how I talked about the microaggressions and the death by 1,000 cuts? Okay, we live in the age of miracles. There are YouTube videos, there's books, there's music, there's walks in nature. Nobody needs to perpetuate their own suffering. There's a lot of sources of suffering right now, but we also have a lot of sources of peace and balance. And I hope that this is it. I hope that this becomes one of those things that helps people find a little bit of peace and joy. That's why I do this, because I want to like counteract the microaggressions. Now, here's something interesting that's happening to me. Okay. Um, so Becky's out of here, Brandy. Thank you for
Thank you.
giving her peace, finding peace, all of that. Everybody take after Becky and live it up while you can, because life is short. Okay.
Yes.
So that's weird. She shows me like there's like an audience. This is weird. She just showed me there's like every time I do this is like a movie theater, like for spirit. There are spirits watching me do this right now, like a theater. Now, here's something else that I have to bring up. Um, there's somebody here that I'm being pulled to, and in this instant, I'm going right direct to this person. Okay. Um, so I'm looking at a square. I'm looking at a participant here. Her name is Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Could you wave for me? Okay. So Olivia, I don't know if this person is for you, but it might be. Okay. I have to ask you because like this is the symbol that I'm seeing, and I'm kind of being told to go to Olivia's square. And again, and remember, none of the like take it all with a grain of salt because it might not be a thing. This might be for somebody else. Um Olivia, I'm seeing a bicycle. I keep seeing a bicycle, like a kid's bike. Okay. And I keep being drawn to you. So can I ask you, Olivia, when you were a young person, and you can unmute yourself just to give me a yay or nay. Okay, you can unmute yourself. I'm gonna prompt you to unmute there, so you should get a little prompt there. Okay. Can I ask you, Olivia, when you were a young person, did you know anybody that did jumps on bikes? Has anybody passed like a young man? Did you have a friend when you were young, perhaps even a brother who passed away that rode bikes?
Not when I was young, no. My mom is on
Somebody,
here too if she wants to answer. Mom?
not not when you were young, but necessarily. Like, this is like what I'm seeing is a boy like riding bikes, okay, and he like it feels like he did jumps, okay, like jumps. Like, did you have you lost anybody that's like that?
I don't think so. I've lost a lot of people, but when I was mom, Nancy, do you,
Who's your mom?
my mom's Nancy McMahon. Is there anyone I'm not thinking of?
Well, you've lost quite a few people recently, Olivia. Did any of them ever have that
I don't think so.
that you know of?
Okay, hold bear with me because I'm gonna let the symbols come through in a clearer way, okay?
Okay.
Because this is one of those things where like they're bringing me right to you, Olivia, okay? And
Mhm.
so I see what looks like I had when I was a kid a red and blue like Huffy bike. You know what I mean? Like a Huffy bike.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if this is somebody that was a childhood friend. Have you
Could be
lost a
my
boy that
cou-
was a childhood friend?
It could be my cousin. He died recently in a car accident, and we were close when we were younger, but then we lost touch, but we reconnected um maybe a year ago, and then a couple months later he passed.
Okay, hold on. Do you remember him being like a kid that would ride a bike and jump bikes?
Yeah, probably.
Nancy, do you remember anything like that? Do you remember this cousin riding bikes, being a little boy like that?
He was on her father's side.
I remember going to Tennessee, and I mean we would all ride bikes to the park, and
Okay.
Yeah, that's it then.
Okay. So here we are. So Olivia, right? Like this is just please be with me and as I share with you just like what happened. Here I am like as I'm talking to Brandy about Becky, I'm getting this message with a bike. You know what I mean? To go to Olivia's Square and talk to her about a person that she was young with, who she would have rode bikes with. Okay.
yeah.
So in that way, that is a very direct message for you.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I'm glad that your mom is on here because I think what you have done, Olivia, is kind of picked up where she's left off. And I think like there's a part of you that just needs to solve everybody's problems and take care of everybody and make sure everybody's well. Do you know this?
Yep.
Okay. So, Olivia, you and I'm going to spotlight you. I'm going to bring you up real quick because we're going to spend some time together.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, here we are. You and I side by side on this screen. Okay. So, that message, like, okay. It is literally impossible for you to care for everybody that you have in your life, friends, family. You don't have enough resources or time or energy. It's not sustainable for you to give everything to everybody,
Yeah.
nor are you responsible for the people that have passed. So you have to really come to a place of peace with this because you can't stop them. If they're forces of nature, you cannot stop them. Um, So here's something that I get about this cousin, this like little boy that you used to like hang around with and then you reconnected with. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure necessarily that the car accident was his fault, But what I can say is that it felt like it would be just a matter of time before something like that happened to him at his own hand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Mm.
So, Olivia, here's a personal question I just have to ask you.
Mhm.
Do you have help? Like, do you have a therapist?
Mhm.
You do. This is good. This is really good. And the reason why I say that is because I know that you said that you've lost a lot of people recently, but I keep feeling like there's really what I'm feeling is you
Mhm.
grasping for these people and then them slipping out of your grasp. You grab for them and then they slip out of your grasp. And then you grab for them and then they slip out of your grasp. So it's
Mhm.
almost like I can't say that you know that they're going to pass. I just know that you have a deep, intense love for them, whether it's friends or family or what have you. And then they go and then
Mhm.
you can't stop it. And then you feel responsible for it. And you wish you'd have done this and you wish you'd done that and wish you'd done this. Do not get caught up in those stories because I'm just going to call you out on it. I have to. You know that
Okay.
there's a part of you that blames yourself for your cousin's passing when you had nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You would not want anybody here in this call, in this Zoom meeting, anybody here who would have experienced the same. You would not want them to blame themselves.
No.
Okay.
And
So
I.
I believe that you are a logical, rational woman and you have the faculties of logic and rationality to bear. So if you are putting yourself through stories that are not logical and rational, like the man on Lake Champlain who was talking about the Illuminati, and those things are just not rational or logical, you're gonna perpetuate suffering. Now, I don't know what happened to this man, and I don't need to get into specifics here on this call, but I can tell you that that man suffered enough in life. Your cousin suffered enough in life. You know this?
Mhm.
Okay. One of these things that I have to be very clear with is that this person and you had love for one another to whatever degree. He does not want to see you suffer. And if you suffer by telling yourself lies and untruths, then I think I've demonstrated over the course of tonight's event that you give them suffering. The way you hold stories and the way you tell yourself a story brings you peace and it brings your loved ones peace. So your mom is here on this call. She obviously does not want to see her daughter suffer. And if you can take and transform some of those stories into practical, rational stories. For
Mhm.
instance, I'm going to call Brandy out on it. Brandy lost her friend Becky. Do you know how long it took Brandy to get? I'm going to just say it, Brandy. You know how long it took Brandy to pull her head out of her ass and stop blaming herself for the cancer and all of that? It took her a while. But when she did it, and when she came to a sense of rationality and logic and told herself a different story about it, months, Brandy says. So it took Brandy months to get through that process. Meanwhile, her loved one in spirits going, "What the hell, woman? Like, what the hell? Like, it's not your fucking fault. Why would you do this to yourself?" And that's what they want for us, is they want the best for us. And we oftentimes don't want the best for ourselves. We think we do, but we don't participate in that. Okay. Now, also, question for you. I'm not sure if you're like Laura, but Olivia, do you also have a shoulder injury?
Um, I have a bad back, and sometimes like right here hurts. Oh,
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
like I'm
know.
getting like between your shoulder blades. I'm just
Yeah.
getting like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Girl, take care of yourself. Okay, take care of yourself. Also, the other thing too, and I have to relay this to you because spirit will see things in us that we don't see in ourselves. And I'm just going to tell you the goddamn truth that spirit's given you. You're a big deal. Okay, like you're a big deal. Like
Yeah.
you have like like I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to give you a sense of obligation, but if you want a business or if you want to be a big deal, they want you to go for it. Okay,
Mhm.
like is there something that you want to do?
Um, I don't know, but my friends tell me that. They're like, "Oh, why are you in the mountains doing nothing?" Like, but
So I'm going to go back to Laura, right? And how Laura has that sort of like, and hey, friends, sometimes being in the mountains doing nothing is peaceful.
I'm
Don't
not doing
sell that
nothing
short.
anymore, but I was doing nothing in the
Okay,
mountains.
okay, okay, okay. But like Laura's now running like a kitchen, running a like community room, whatever. She's doing a big thing, right? So she has like kind of boss energy, or she's a badass bitch, like I told her. I think you, Olivia, are a little bit of a badass bitch yourself. So if you got that boss energy, right? If you got that boss energy, then you need to bring it to the world. Because if you get stuck in that story of like, oh, I can't do it, or oh, what if this happens, and what if that happens? Like if you get stuck in those stories, you might not be able to fulfill your purpose here. So again, we build our life based on the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah, I just
So,
got a job taking care of like kids with behavioral issues. But
and those kids are going to build their life based on the stories they tell themselves.
mhm.
You get it?
Mhm.
Okay. So the story you tell yourself about yourself is really important. And I do want to say here that this isn't some hokey bullshit. We tell ourselves stories every single day of our life, stories that we
Mhm.
deserve the pain and suffering that we had, or we didn't deserve it, and we're going to transform it. Okay. Now, the other thing too, Olivia, is this. Um, they tell me that you are a guarded turtle,
That makes sense.
guarded turtle with a hard shell around you.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is this: you're not responsible for the worst things that happen to you. So what that means, when I hear those words from spirit that you're not responsible for the worst things that have happened to you, that includes betrayal, neglect, abuse, all of those things have happened to you, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. If you don't handle those situations and interact with them skillfully, those situations, that trauma, everybody knows the word trauma,
Yep.
we have to tell ourselves an appropriate trauma story. So in that way, you have to interact with those stories skillfully. You didn't cause it, you didn't deserve it. None of those things were your fault. If you were 5 pounds lighter, it still would have happened. Do you get what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing too is this. Can you tell me, if you might not have known this about your cousin? Can you tell me, do you know if he liked Pepsi?
Um, I don't know, but he
Okay.
liked taking shots with chasers. Could have been Pepsi.
Would have been Pepsi. Okay, okay, okay. Or Coke. Do you know what I mean? Could have been Coke thing. Like, we did like the Jack and Coke thing. I don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
okay. Find out, if you can, what kind of sugary, bubbly thing he liked, and then make
Okay.
him an offering. For sometimes it's Monster, sometimes it's beer, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. But I don't know why I'm tasting Pepsi. So that may be a particular, like, I don't think they usually use Pepsi in bars, but maybe they do. I'm not
I
sure.
can definitely find that out, though.
Okay. Can I also ask you, when you were younger, did you roller skate? Not roller skate, ice skate?
I tried.
You tried. Okay. Well, if you're
It
in the
was-
mountains, if you're in the mountains and you're going to be in the mountains when it snows this upcoming winter,
Mhm.
you might want to try ice skating, because it gets you out in the cold, but it gets your body moving. It's going to help with like serotonin, dopamine, seasonal affective disorder. There's something very dancey about your body, like movement, dance, all of that.
Mhm.
I think it would be good for you to, um, I think it would be good for you to ice skate. Now I'm going to circle back to what I said about him. He did not cause his own passing, did he?
I mean, I don't think he caused it because of what was going on with him, but it was a car accident, drinking and
Sure,
driving.
sure, sure, sure. What I'm getting, and I don't have to be the expert or the authority on this at all, but I
Hmm.
get that he wasn't at fault. He didn't cause it. But I also get that it would have just been a matter of time before he did something like that to cause it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that way you cannot control a force of nature.
Hmm.
You can't.
I know. Yeah.
Well, maybe you need to repeat that to yourself a few times. Maybe
I
you need to bring
try.
this to your therapist. You know what I mean?
It's,
Maybe you need to
yeah.
talk about this a little bit more with some friends who understand. Or maybe you can just take it from the guy who does it for a living. You know what I mean? You could take it from me.
My best friend, we are like this. Like, she blames herself because she was close with him too, and he said some rude things to her right before it happened. So I don't know, maybe this is like for her too. But
Please show this to her.
yeah, I will.
You know what I mean? Please take
Yeah.
this because nobody is responsible for that other than the accident itself.
Yeah. I know
Nobody can stop it.
yeah.
So, I think this is a good reminder because Olivia, what happens, and damn it, I hate to use this example, but it illustrates a point. You know how we live in a time of like opioid epidemics? Do you know what I mean? Like heroin and fentanyl and all of that stuff. Okay.
Yep.
I have to say this, whether it's alcohol or opioids or what have you, every child in this world who passes away from a drug overdose and leaves their parents behind or leaves their friends behind or what have you, they go to a place where they watch their parents and their friends wish they'd screamed harder. So when those parents and those friends come to a place of logic and rationality and they're fair to themselves, they reduce the pain of the person who's watching the repercussions of their actions. Now, this best friend of yours, I'm sure, would want your cousin to rest in peace, right?
Mm.
Okay. Your best friend has to tell herself a different story for that to happen. She could walk through the rest of her long life beating herself up and blaming herself for something that was out of her control. And to a certain degree, that cousin is going to watch it and that cousin's going to go, "What the good hell, girls?"
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Would not want
So,
that.
okay, good. I'm glad that it sunk in. I'm glad that it sunk in. I'm glad that it sunk in because when we find peace, we give them peace. And interestingly enough, I have to say this, when you find peace, your mama finds peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether you believe it or not, your mama deserves peace. Let me tell you. Okay.
Oh, she does.
Okay. So you're, and that's, a lot of people don't like to hear it, but there is a responsibility to relationships, the way we carry on with ourselves, the way we take care of ourselves. I still am blessed to have my parents here. I want my parents to be at peace. My number one priority is my own peace. So my parents are at peace. I have loved ones in spirit that I want to be at peace. I have to take care of me, the person that they watch over. So your cousin's going to be with you for the rest of your days. You need to be at peace. Peace is our birthright. So what I'm going to do is I just want to, thank you for being here. I know that you're not like in really being the center of attention and public speaking is awkward for you and all that stuff. So I'm going to play off spotlight. I think I've said what I need to say. Do you a favor here. Do you a favor, actually, and this is important. It's important for everybody who has a group of people that they loved that are in spirit. I want you to consider building, Olivia, an ancestor and beloved dead altar. An altar is just a flat space, like a shelf of the pictures of the people that you've lost. If you know that they liked a little bit of apple pie, give them a piece of apple pie. If you know that they liked coffee, make them a cup of coffee every once in a while, or Pepsi, or anything like that. But having a place where you can look at your beloved dead and the people that have gone on and go, I'm going to take care of them by taking care of me That will really do wonders in your life.
Yeah, I
So
can
that
do
being
that.
said, I'm going to take you off spotlight. I'm going to wrap this thing up by leaving folks with a couple of other things to consider. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I love that. Brandy's doing things for her friend Becky. Okay. So here's something that I want to share with folks that this upcoming Sunday, June 22nd, we are having our second Goblin Market of the year here. And not only will I be selling copies of my newest book, I will be selling copies of my Vitamin Joy tarot deck. And it is a day of aura photography. We have tarot readers and mediums. There's going to be food. There's going to be music. There's artists and vendors. There's, I think, about 35 vendors total here. So we are in Littleton. If you're local and you can make it from 11 to 4 on Sunday, please come by and support all the wonderful people who are doing their best to make this world a more colorful place. Outside of that, I want to bring everybody's attention that this episode today was sponsored by me. It was sponsored by me, this guy. I have a little donation button on the page. If you want to give me like a cup of coffee, that's great. I am available for readings one-on-one. I have a cheeseburger tarot special that I'm doing right now that's all about body love and self-image and all that good stuff. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves. And if you want your loved ones to be at peace in spirit and in life, make sure that you are concentrating on your own. And to remember, finally, the life we lead is based on the stories we tell ourselves. Remember to tell yourself a good story. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'll see you next time on My Love Too.
Thank you.
Bye.